canopies. We're getting there. So you join me as I'm putting the roof, what should we call them, elements into place. Now I've joined up all of the individual pieces that make up the length of the canopy now. In the original they would have gone side by side, but I've worked it so that we go lengthways, as you may know. Right, so all I've done really is just glued each little element together, and then along each outside beam, just here, you'll see a grey strip. Now I've cut that out from part of the laser cut kit area. I've just cut that off that card. Now that acts as two things. Not only does it act as an end, if you like, for each roof element, but it actually holds or helps hold the whole length of the canopy together. Now, as you can see, some of the roof beams don't quite join up, but a lot of that is to do with the painting and so on. It does warp slightly. It shouldn't make a difference once the roof goes on. What I've done though is all of the legs that come down are all very in line. So that was that. Another thing that I've been doing is, I think I originally put in the first episode of when I was doing the canopies, I bought some of the, can't remember the name of it now, balancing from Scale Model Scenery. Now really, it was really good stuff, but there's hardly any of it, and it was costing me £5 a go to get that. So I decided to make my own using part of the kit from Metcalfe. So this has all been laser cut. So what I've done is I've just placed it as such against the edge of this cardboard sheet that I've got, and then cut this out. So I've done 3 links, painted it cream, and it should match up with all the other balancing on either end of the canopy itself. So quite pleased with that. It's a bit of a lengthy process. It takes me about 20 minutes to cut out each one, but you just need a sharp blade. Use my old trusty now Swan and Morton 10A blade, and that's worked out well. So that's where we stand at the moment. Just view right through there. There we go. So I'm very pleased with it, actually. Very fiddly. Would I do it again? Probably, but I'm going to need about a month off relaxing and recuperating after doing it. But yeah, there we go. I'll bring you back once I've finished putting the roof on and the balancing. Right, so the canopy is done and in place. Well, it's not really in place, I've just put it here for now. I'm really quite pleased with it, apart from it's a bit big. I think I understand that Metcalfe do make their end gauge slightly larger, but I mean, at the end of the day, it still looks good. A lot of effort went into this, and it's staying. So there's like a station side view, but yeah, I am actually really pleased with how it's turned out. It's only just in the past 5 minutes while I come into the cabin and put it on the layout, realised quite how big it is. But I mean, it's certainly livable, there's not a problem, and it's perhaps even a little wide for the tracks, but I think for the platform, but I think we'll live with that. That's again not really a problem, and I think once I've had to fiddle around with it, it'll be fine. But obviously it's just put in there for now, and we'll see. I've actually even thought about getting the main station building from Metcalfe and covering it with the Scousines brick paper. I'm still thinking about that. Be interested actually to know what you guys think. But yeah, it does look good. I've got to say, I'm quite happy with that. And once we fluff it up a bit with a few seats underneath it, we get some lights in. I've got a lovely set of station boards from Scale Model Scenery. That's to go on there. That'll be a lovely fiddly job once I come around to doing that. But yeah, so Canopy's done. So the upshot of it is, if you want a lengthways canopy using the Metcalfe Canopy kit rather than side on side, you can. I just like it because of the detail in the stands that hold the canopy up. Actually, I think it really looks good. My Canopy Valance, quite pleased with that as well. It's it is a cheaper way of doing it, I've got to be honest, because I mean, the stuff from Scale Model Scenery was really lovely, but I think it would have cost me about 15 quid to cover the whole of the canopy. But who knows, maybe one day we'll do that, but for now that's going to be okay. And from a distance it looks pretty good. From where I'm standing it looks good, and of course in brutal reality, engaging close up, it can look a little harsh, but there we go. Right, so something else that I've been working on, mainly because I'm waiting parts for the bridge and I still haven't got them. I'm hoping that they're going to get here today, but I had some scraps left over where I have been working on the bridge with the Metcalfe card or brick card sheets, and I decided, and inspired by Tony Northeastern and his wonderful scratch build of South Shield Station, I decided to use up some scraps that I had left over. And so Saturday, it was probably last Saturday afternoon, and Sunday morning I put this little thing together. It is kind of based on the Scousines yard office, but I have made this from scratch. I didn't use any of their measurements, I just went with what I had. And let's just get my finger in there to give you some idea of how big it is. There we go. And I think it's turned out really nice. It needs weathering. Perhaps the brick wasn't quite right for it, but you know, it's what I had, and I just thought, do you know what, I'm going to have a little go at scratch building. It's my first proper scratch build. I even put a little chimney on it, but it's got to have some chimney pots and, you know, like I say, some general weathering. But yeah, a few hours work in there surprisingly. And I'll tell you what was really tricky was trying to keep everything square. My goodness, it's easier said than done. You know, even with all the right bits and pieces, I had a little set square of, you know, everything was measured perfectly, and it was still blinking hard work to get that right. But I did, and it wasn't actually a problem. I think I had to cut out one side of it again because I was about 1.5 millimeters out on the measurements, and I couldn't quite figure out to start with why it wouldn't go square. But there we go. After a remeasure, we cut another piece out, and all's well that ends well. But yeah, even the balancing, really pleased with that. That's come out well. There we go, little project. Just because I'm waiting for things to do, really, with the bridges. I can't lay any more track. I'll show you in a minute why. And like I say, once I get the bridges done and in, then we can start track laying again. Right, so this is basically why we can't lay any more track, because this has been cut out ready for the bridge to be built. I've got most of the pieces for it now, but I can't put it back on the layout until I've got the last few bits. Actually, I've run out of some of the Metcalfe brick card actually, So once I get that in, it won't take me long to put that on, and hopefully it will be all sorted ready for the next episode in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, there, that bridge there, and then there will be another bridge just over the tracks here. And again, I'm just waiting parts. I've decided I'm going to make that just a straightforward girder bridge, or Pico plate girder bridge, and we'll take that from there when I get the girders coming in. So that's where we're at with that. So the chip arrived for the Castle class. There she goes, looking along there. This has got a back, I think it's the Backman chip, which is made by Zimmo, and it's got the braking function on it, which is quite interesting. So hopefully I'll catch it in time before she slows down. The only trouble is with her, she doesn't like some of these gradients too much. She can only do these 4 coaches. This is a section that she struggles a bit, coming out of Exehaven Harbour station. But I do have some DCC Concepts power base, which will alleviate that problem. So there we go, I've pressed stop now, the braking function is on. I don't know whether I've done that in time. Oh, just about. So hopefully we can back her up a little bit. Oh, beg your pardon. Yeah, she's stuck there. So anyway, bear with me. Sorry, very poor camera work there. It's trying to do 2 things at once. The controller's on my phone and trying to look where the train's going and do the phone at the same time is pretty difficult. So as you can see, I still haven't quite mastered the brake yet. So that will be changed, but like I say, she does struggle up a couple of the gradients, and the DCC Concept power base should sort that out. I can't see any reason why it wouldn't, because she still gets up there with 4 carriages. I'd like her to pull a few more, to be fair, but if she doesn't, she doesn't. So oh, sorry about that. So let's get the brake on now. Hopefully I've done it too early. Yeah, let's get a little power on there so we back her into the platform. There she goes. I do like that brake function though. I love the way that they stop very gently. There she goes. Right, we'll stop her. Now then, we have a new addition to the fleet. Bought with some Christmas money that I've had, and here she comes. I'll just run her up here and then I'll stop her here. We've stopped all too soon, no, because I forgot to change the points, as usual. Hold on. Right, there we go, bit more driver error, signalman error. I'm going to get the sack from my own railway the way I'm going. Anyway, there we go, the lovely Class 33, which should fit in quite nicely with a few of the boat trains that I intend to run. Eventually, once the layout gets up and running properly. Really lovely loco, really good detail, I think, especially in gauge. I mean, the details are very fine. I haven't added anything yet. This comes DCC fitted. I believe it has got the Dapo Imperium chip in it. for me, I don't really know the difference yet. I'm not into it that far. I just happy that it runs. It's got light functions and so on. I haven't even sorted that out yet. I'm just happy if the train runs, and once, I am the kind of person that I want to get a circuit done, and once I've done that, I can let some of the trains run round while I start looking into what does what and what function does this, what function does that. I will know in the end, but yeah, so with that, this loco come recommended by Mr. Paul Sheedy from the lovely Wickford Engage Railway over there in beautiful Wicklow in Ireland. But I asked Paul what loco he would recommend for my layout, and he said undoubtedly the Dapol Class 33. And I've got to say, Paul, you're spot on. Thank you very much. With that, I decided to buy these lovely Monsall coaches. Again, Dapol, whatever you want to call it. And I bought a box set of 3, and I bought 2 others. And I must say, when I first got them, and the Class 33, I wasn't very happy. Now the Class 33, this was last Saturday, about a week ago, and anyway, Saturday morning I run the Class 33 in on my test track, and then put it on here, give it a couple of runs up and down. It was fine. So then I thought, I hadn't got the Monsall coaches out of the boxes at this stage, so I thought, right, I'll give it a full run with a full rake of 8 coaches. And yep, off she went, round the layout, no problem at all, excellent. So I thought, great. So by this time it was lunchtime, I thought, well, I'll have a quick bite to eat and come back, and then I'll get the coaches out and we'll go from there. So anyway, after lunch, unhooked the 33 from the rake of 8 coaches, and we got the Monsall coaches out here. Well, for the next 2 or 3 hours I had nothing but trouble. The train wouldn't run, it wouldn't go up the gradients, it wouldn't do this, it wouldn't do that, and I was on the point of throwing everything out my pram. And I am actually not prone to losing my temper, but I was getting very, very close. And anyway, the upshot of it was, I put it on the I put it all away and went indoors, and I come back Sunday morning and with a much clearer head, and I thought, I know what I'll do, I'll run it on the test track and see if I can spot anything. So lo and behold, I'll run it on the test track, and we had one of the bogies just kept coming off, and this had kept happening all Saturday afternoon, but I hadn't spotted which one it was, because once one bogie had come off, all the rest of the coaches followed, and it was happening at different points on the track. I thought, well, everything else runs fine, why doesn't this? Anyway, so on the test track I found that there was one bogie in particular that kept coming off. So anyway, I've had a look at this bogie, and one of the little wheel sets had come out of its little socket. So pushed that back in, clipped in nicely, and it seemed to run a lot freer. So anyway, got back on the test track, went round a couple of times, and then it come off again, and I'm like, I'm starting to get very frustrated now. You know, you spend all this money, and you have nothing but problems. Anyway, took it all off again, and what I'd done, there's a little screw in the bottom of the bogie, and I just thought, well, I'll loosen that up just to see what happens. Do you know what? It fixed it. It was in there a little bit too tight. I managed to sort of have a look at a few of the other bogies and just sort of wiggled them about in my hand, and they seemed to be much more free flowing, which led me to think, do you know what? I think that might be just a little bit too tight, and it was. So we had the little wheel just out of its little socket, and of course one of the bogies was just screwed in a bit too tight. Ever since then they've run beautifully. So now it's going to prove me all wrong when I show you a little run round the track with it. So here it goes. Really lovely smooth runner. It hasn't got the braking function on like the other Castle class. So my intention is, in the future, is probably to buy them without the chips and probably buy a Zimmo chip, as recommended by Mark at Pidley and the Marsh. He really rates them. So we'll have a little look into that, Mark, as time goes on, as I really get into the hobby. You know, my main focus really at the moment is just trying to get the track done, and once I've got onto that, then I can get onto all the lovely stuff like the scenery, and then starting to tune up the locos on the sorry, I'm concentrating on another thing now because I've got to press stop. Whew. Just in time. So yeah, so all things come to those who wait, and I'm going to have to wait a little longer. I'm sure it's going to take me another month or two really to get, well, I'll certainly have a circuit done, but I want to get all the track laid. I want all the double track laid, and I want everything running, and then I can really start thinking about doing the chips, you know, programming the chips properly, getting everything functioning properly. But I certainly want to have the track down. And being delayed partly due to the weather now as well, not just COVID, because we've had probably about 4 or 5 inches of snow, which is quite a lot for where I live in Essex, and we haven't had any for a few years. Sorry guys if that was a bit quick. There we go, we'll stop that there before it crashes. So yes, so we've had those new additions to the fleet. So we've got the Class 33, thank you Paul, good recommendation, and the bargain Castle class from Derails. I was very pleased with that actually. Again, and I did have a little fiddle about with the chip on that one because it is so slow in getting going. It really did struggle out of Budley Regis Station up here, so I swapped the speed steps down, and it seemed to make a difference. So I went from 128 to the lower setting, and it now seems to work okay. Whether that was just a fluke or you know, my magical programming skills. Probably the other. But anyway, there we go, and that's where we are at as we stand with Exehaven Harbour. As usual, thank you all for your support and your comments. Where I think I've reached 460 subscribers now, so you know, another 40 to go, and we'll reach that 500 mark, and we'll see what we can do with that. But yeah, so Budley Regis is looking pretty full. We've got the pannier tank, I don't know whether you can see that there, on the outside edge there. Class 33, we've got the Castle class, and we've got the lovely Western, and yeah, all sorted. So see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks everybody, speak again soon. Cheers now.